Kasha. It's not a Kasha statement. If the Rebbeinu Shalom didn't write Sefer Midbar, it must have been written by some anti-Semite. All the things that Klal Yisrael did in the Midbar. The truth is, most of the bad events happened in the first 2 years. It started last week's Parsha, double mem and double nuns. And Rashi says, to be mafkin bin kronis l'peronius. The Torah doesn't say the peronius, the first one. What did they do bad? When they left Har Sinai, they left Kintina Kabarech Mebei Sefer, like a kid running home from school. They said, let's get out of here. There'll be more stuff if we stay here too long. And after Har Sinai, after they left, there was the Mistonim. Whatever the Mistonim were exactly, I always call them the Kvetchers. They were punished. After the Mistonim, the Bali Taiva, they wanted meat. They were punished. That was last week's parsha. This week's parsha is the Meraglin. The next week's parsha is Karach. Klal Yisrael did a lot of stuff in those years. The truth is, there's one more bad thing. The end of the 40 years, we know smo of. When all these events happened in the first, second, by the end of the second year, all these things happened. So when Hashem doesn't mind writing them, it was written by Hashem, and it wasn't written. There was no problem writing in the Torah that the Damanivcha had chosen people, and they did all these things. The truth is, there's a Ramban in Parshas where it first starts in Parshas B'Shalach, where first people start fetching, and he says that realize the different parts of Klal Yisrael, different levels, and there were plenty of tzaddikim, but there were other people also. The Torah doesn't mind telling you about all these people. So there's a very interesting Rashi, the first Rashi of the Parsha. Lama nisbecha Parshas Meraglim and Parshas Miriam. Why was the Torah connect Parshas Miriam and Meraglim? Last week's Parsha was Miriam speaks Lashon Hara, but Moshe Rabbeinu was punished. In the beginning of this Parsha is the Meraglim. The Fisha Loksa al Iske Diba, Diba Bachel. She was punished for saying Diba things about her brother. Rishayim Ha'aylo, and these Rishayim, these Meraglim, Rov Lo Locha Musar. They saw it, they didn't take Musar. Chaim Shmulevitz says a beautiful thing. He says, Rashi's telling you that the punishments that we hear about is for us to take Musar. It's for us to realize that people make mistakes. People go off course. And Locha Musar, that's our job, is to take the Musar from the parsha. That we take the Musar. We hear all with all the things they did wrong, and realize, you know what, you're not supposed to do this wrong. You're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to do the right thing. And he says every onish. That doesn't say what I just said. All the bad things they messed up in Sefer Midbar. But he says that's what onish is for. Onish is what the Torah is telling you. Onish is for us to take musar. Is for us to realize that people make mistakes. And the truth is, we ended up in Eretz Yisrael at the end of the thing. So those who made it. Not everybody made it, but those who made it. So we have to learn the parshios, and we have to take the musar from it. We have to inspire ourselves and say we're not going to be that kind of person. We're going to be on that. Now, it's always interesting that the Mishnah Berurah, the Chofetz Chaim brings this story, and he says Loch Musar. You see, from the Meraglim shouldn't have spoken Lashon Hara. We learned not to speak Lashon Hara from the Meraglim because it's connected to Miriam. So I always wondered that Lashon Hara about the land is not the same as Lashon Hara as a person, and why he's comparing him. But I think it means the same idea, the Chofetz Chaim. In other words, realize what the results of saying something inappropriately can result in. You speak something that's inappropriate, whether it's Lashon Hara or it's Diba Ra'ala al Aretz, you speak about Eretz Yisrael. So there's the results of your actions. And we have to be very careful what we say. You know, guys are going back to America next week, and you have to be careful what you say about Eretz Yisrael. Don't become the Meraglim. Don't violate what the Meraglim did. Because Eretz Yisrael is there are things that are problematic, right? And but there are things that are not. It's an interesting Ramban. The Ramban says when the Meraglim come back and they say, right, Gam Zovas Cholav Edvashu. You're right. We saw the beautiful land. It's flowing with milk and honey. Right? Because if you remember at the beginning, Moshe Rabbeinu gives them instructions what you're supposed to look for. Is it a fat land? Does it produce well, or is it rosa, or is it a skinny land? Doesn't produce well? So he came back and says it's obviously cholava. The first thing they said how beautiful it is, how productive it is. In fact, Rashi over there says that they had to say that because when I say sheker, if there's no emes, said nobody's going to do sheker. Okay? And he says, "V'al sherli hayesh bo eitzo ayin," right? Him shivelo there's a tree, and Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Were the trees not trees?" He says, "Look, there's fruits." Kikain sivo some laroso, and because Moshe Rabbeinu commanded them to check it out. In the bechol zeh amru emes, they said emes. V'shivelo amashin itzdavu, and they explained what they really saw and what they were demanded to do. V'yalehem lomar she'am yoshev alav. And it was proper when they said that the land is fortified because that's what Moshe Rabbeinu said him to do. Because you got to say the emes. You were the spies. You're supposed to be what's there. It's a very well fortified land, right? The people were strong. Right? Are people strong or are they weak? Right? Were the fortified cities or not? Right, so they said that part of the conversation was not problematic. Avarisham b'milas efes. They said the word efes. The word is oves ki oz efes. Efes. It's like right. What does efes mean? Shehu mara al davar shehu nimna mina adam. It's teaching us that it's beyond us to get. She'ev shebishum inyan. In other words, they will never be able to make it. In other words, they added certain extra stuff, right? Yenu leva and beremes, and all I said was one or two words that were like that. It's efes, and to get everybody nervous. That was enough to make everybody nervous, right? They were afraid to say too much, but they said those words, and you know the rest of the story. In other words, the most of what they said was exactly what they were told to do, but they shouldn't have. They just added a few extra words of efes. Right, they add the word efes, and had they not said that, and they would have got people a little nervous. They said they're very strong, it's well fortified, wouldn't have been such a problem. But once they said it's beyond us, efes, it's beyond us to get it, that was the problem. That was the avera, and the avera was a big avera because we know everybody was punished. They're going to die in the midbar, and everybody died in the midbar except for Kalev and Yeshua. Everybody ends up dying in the midbar. Right, and the Meraglim die right in this parsha. They died. So you have to be very careful when you're asked to say something, and you add the wrong word, and you add a negative thought. That's a real problem, and it doesn't have to be the whole speech is not negative. The whole speech was emes. They were instructed to find out certain things, and they found those things out, and they reported them, but they add a few words. Efes. We'll never get. We can't do it. It's beyond us. They shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have said that, and a little extra can change the whole. And that's, we know that's very true when we speak to people. You can say all kinds of things, nice things, and you add a few extra little words. And it wasn't such a big what I added to it. What you added changed the whole meaning of everything. Had you not added those extra words, you could have understood what they were saying. But once you added the word efes, it's all destroyed. Because I'll tell us the Torah says the entire people, sounds like everybody, cried that night. Amr Chazal, Sisa called Eidav Yitnu is Koilam Vivku. They picked up their voices and they put their voices to cry. Halam Balaylahu. Amr Rav, Amr B'Yochanan. Oysu Laila Tisha B'Av Haya. Was Tisha B'Av. Amr Lehem HaKadosh Baruch Hu Atam B'Chisem B'Chir Shel Chinam. You cried for no reason. B'Chinam. It's for no reason. Ani Ekvelahem B'Chil L'Dairos. I will give you a reason to cry for the generations. My kids reminded me the other day that they used to misbehave, and they used to start crying. I used to say, "You want a reason to cry? I'll give you the reason to cry." That's what Hashem tells them. You're crying, I'll give you a reason to cry. And it was interesting in this Chazal. The Chazal didn't say they're punished because they didn't believe. In other words, they're punished only because they cried. The fact that they didn't have bitachon in Hashem. Okay, then we talking Hashem. It could be Hashem could overlook the fact that they didn't have bitachon. Bitachon is a high madrega to get to, and you don't have total trust. See, I wonder. You can wonder in your mind. You can wonder even out loud. I wonder if we can do it. I wonder if we're able to do it. But once you start to cry, you're saying it's impossible. And it was the bechiyah that got him. It the B'chila Daros. And Tisha B'Av, for all the generations, there's 5 things the Rambam says, an interesting thing. The Rambam says 5 things happen on Tisha B'Av. First thing was the Meraglim. Bayis Rishon and Bayis Sheni, both destroyed on Tisha B'Av. 100 years after the Beis HaMikdash was the revolt in Beitar. And the revolt in Beitar was Bar Kochba. Was Tisha B'Av. And finally, it's interesting, and the Rambam says an interesting lashon. The Rambam says, and the Rambam is a sefer of halacha, not a musar, not anything else. And he fetches. He says, "V'yom hamuchan leparanios." He mentions the 4 things, and pretty bad. I'm going to talk about the English, pretty bad. But he mentions the 5th thing. He says, "V'yom hamuchan leparanios," and the day that was set aside for bad events. Turnus Rufus or Russia. Turnus Rufus was the Roman governor. Was Chayrish Makam HaMikdash. He plowed where the Beis HaMikdash was. The Kaim mentioned Nemar, but Tzion Kesadeh to Chayrish. Tzion will be plowed like a field. So I always wondered, why is the Rambam fetching over here? Yom HaMuchan LaParanios. I mean, all the things are bad. Beis HaMikdash is bad. He plowed the area of the Beis HaMikdash. What's the big deal that he plowed the area of the Beis HaMikdash? Okay, he plowed the area. That's the big deal. So I read a beautiful pshat from Moshe Shapiro many years ago. As I'll say, 3 things that we know happened by the Avos on the Beis HaMikdash, right? The Akedah, and Yitzchak davened before he met Rivka, and Yaakov has this dream over there. So Chazal say, Lo ka'Avraham shekari lehar, Lo Yitzchak kishari le'sada. It says Har when the Har Maria, Avram went to Har Maria, right? Lo Yitzchak kishari le'sada. Not like Yitzchak called it a sada. Yitzchak was suach besada. It says right. Like Yaakov, it's like Yaakov. It says Beis El. They called it Beis El. It's the Mokum HaMikdash of Beis El. So Moshe Shapiro said Gavaldik Pshat. What's the difference between one is not like Avraham? It is a har, and it was a sada. So what he says the difference is that a har and a sada are public property. Everybody goes to a mountain. You climb on a mountain, go to a field. But once you say bias, Beis El, it's a bias. Bias is my place. You don't come to my house unless you knock on the door, unless you're a thief. You knock on the door before you walk in. And you say, "Can I come in?" People don't barge into people's houses. So bias is a private place. So he said what Turnus Rufus was doing, I don't know if he was doing this actively, he knew what he was doing, but what was happening in Halacha. He says, "You're Zayda. You're Zayda." Yaakov Avinu called it a bias. Right? But my Zayda was Esav, and my alter Zayda was Yitzchak. And he said it was a Sada. You want to make it a bias, but I want to tell you it's just a Sada. And it's very, very powerful. You think you guys are special. You think you guys are important. You think you guys got a mokum, a bias, a Beis Hashem. It's only a Sada. We're all together, we're all equal. And I think that's a very important musar that we have to take from this. That realize that our connection with the Rebbeinu Shalom is very, very unique, very special. It's a bias. We had a bias, and when the Turnus Rufus makes it into a sada, that's the worst thing that happened on Tisha B'Av. You take away the specialness of Klal Yisrael, and I think part of our problem when people have all these don't realize what it means to be part of Klal Yisrael, what it means to be the Am HaNivchar. I was speaking before, talking about guys who are not besimcha. So I remember I must have told you this, that they asked Rav Shach, how do you get Simchas Yontif? What gets Yontif? Rav Shach said, how do you get Simchas Yontif? As soon as I daven, right? What do you daven? You daven on Yontif, the first beginning of Yontif Shemona Esrei, first few words, Atav v'chaitanu. You chose us. You chose us. So once I read that, I'm besimcha. And I was thinking to myself, we say every day, Asher Bachar Banu. Asher Bachar, Hashem chose us, Asher Bachar Banu. Asher Bachar Banu. Why don't we be simcha? If we realize, we'd focus on the fact that the Rebbeinu Shalom gave us a special place in the world. He gave us a Beis HaMikdash, bias. It's our place, it's our connection. We're very special, we have a very special connection with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Realize who we are, realize what potential we have, what we can do. Where we can end up, that's the greatest possible simcha, and of course everything has its A wedding, go to a wedding. My granddaughter just got engaged. Going to make a wedding. Wedding is a beautiful thing, but you know what? It's a hassle. You got to get a caterer and you got to get music. Preparing for a wedding is a hassle. Right, but it doesn't take away from the simcha. You gotta go through the steps. You gotta sit down with the guy from the hall, and you have to work out a deal, and figure out how much money you're gonna pay. And you sit down with the flowers and with the cake, right. It's all kinds of steps on the way to do, right. And they're not the most pleasant steps in the world, but nobody thinks about that. You know why? It's a wedding. We're so happy. Asher bachar banu. We should realize that the fact that there's a day-to-day things that don't work out the way we want it to work out doesn't detract from the fact that it's Sheba Chabanu. The simcha we have to connect with Baruch Shalom, that should break down all the barriers. So even though in Sefer Bamidbar we read about all the times we messed up, but Lamaisa, even though we messed up, most of us made it. People died in the Midbar, you're right, the whole generation, but the Maisa, their children went into Eretz Yisrael. And that's what it's all about, you know. That's I told you. Rav Hutner says in a letter, it says Sheva Yipol Tzaddik. Tzaddik falls 7 times. So Rav Hutner says everybody falls, but the Tzaddik falls 7 times and he picks himself up. Everybody has troubles. Everybody has ups and downs. Nobody's life, in learning life, in their ruchnius life, in every part of your life, there are ups and downs in your life. But the reason that the person that comes to Tzaddik is the one who picks himself up. If we get depressed, then we'll never make it. Hashem is challenging us only to build us up. That's how we get someplace. I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I said in another format that an interesting verse from the Nesiva Shalom, from the Slana Rebbe. It says that Chazal say that the 2 psukim in the Torah that's its own sefer. It's a Gemara in Shabbos. That V'ibn Sar Aron and Kuma Hashem, that those 2 psukim between the nuns, upside down nuns, that's a sefer by itself. Really seven svarim. The first 3 till you get there, and that sefer is 4, and the last 2 after that. The rest of Bamidbar and the Varim. So why is that? He says the Slana Rebbe says, why is that a separate sefer? Because he says the Torah is a guide for life. It tells you the mitzvahs, but he says this is very specific. This guide, it's its own sefer. And what's the guide? Ibn Saran, he says, Aaron is the Talmud Chacham. Aaron is where the Torah was. He said, it's obviously a Chassidish word, but it's very powerful. He says, Aaron is the Talmud Chacham. Ibn Sar Aaron. He said, the word Nisayan. Nisayan really means to travel, but here he says Nisayan. The Talmud Chacham, and anybody is being challenged all the time. They're always being challenged. That's part of being it. You're being challenged. And he says, when you overcome the challenge, that's what makes success. The success doesn't come from having it easy. Success comes from having the challenge. And that's Kuma Hashem. And that's why Hashem brings us up. We went through the whole year, Baruch Hashem. Some of us made it. And we went through a very serious time, that these last 3 months. And I was speaking to my granddaughter's chassan's father was a Rebbe in Yeshiva, and whose father was a Rebbe. In fact, his father's American. His father Rebbe in Merkas HaTorah for many years. So he said he heard that Merkas HaTorah, there's nobody learning there. He was very surprised to have an American Yeshiva that we're learning. So I told him it's Mina Shemayim, but it was Mina Shemayim that we're all here. And other places couldn't open, and Baruch Hashem, we had Siyata D'Shmaya somehow, that we didn't force everybody to leave. Some Shivas forced everybody to leave. They were nervous to be here. And then, Baruch Hashem, we're all healthy, and we're all here learning. And for that alone, we should have simcha. But realize that Rabbi Shalom gave us a chance. And I think that the connection everybody has to each other because of this is way beyond any connection we had in the past. So it's the fact that we were quarantined together, in a sense, that even helped us. And Baruch Hashem, we made it. And the whole year passed. What you got to do now is make sure you take what you got. And make sure and there'll be bumps in the road. And there were bumps for Klal Yisrael. When I mentioned the whole Sefer Midbar is full of bumps. But the mile of what happens after the bump is you make it. And even though in the Midbar everybody died, but their children made it. And Korach, not everybody was in the rebellion. And it made it. So we can make it. You can decide, where do I want to be? Where do I want to be? Where do I want to be? There'll be Misonim, there'll be Bali Taiva. Which group do I want to be in? There'll be those who rebelled against Moshe. Hashem gave us the choice. We can decide. We can realize it. But let us realize that what we do, little actions, little things that we say, can change everything. And we got to take away Mirz Hashem in the summer months is problematic. I told somebody once. They say, how do you handle the guys when they come back? I say they go away for an Ug Shabbos. I don't know how to handle them. So when they come back, it's more of a problem. You're going to go back, and all the influences, all the friends, and all the things that were there are still there, and you're a different person, Baruch Hashem, today. And if you fall into what you were, it'll grab you. You have to be smart enough to say, wait a second, I've reached a certain level, I've accomplished a certain amount, I'm going to make sure I maintain it. And my aids always is, first of all, as hard as it is, don't miss a minyan. Don't miss a minyan. Baruch Hashem, the shows are functioning now in most places. I mean, I think at least outside minyanim are functioning, even inside minyanim. So don't miss a minyan, right? And second thing I want to say is at least half hour a day to learn, at least. We can learn an hour a day also. And you want to learn 50 minutes twice a day or half an hour twice a day, it's fine. At least half hour a day to learn. And make sure you pick the right kind of people to hang out with. As Mr. Shuram says, so the Shuram tells us that part of our problem sometimes is with the wrong people, even though we know it's the right thing to do, we get pushed in that direction. Shem should help us that we maintain what we got, and those who are coming back should come back revigorated, because I'll tell us, Bitulo Zukiyumo, once in a while the bittul, the vacation, gives you a chance to restart. You need a little break. Bitulo Zukiyumo, and come back, and when Mirz Hashem will get even further. But never forget who you are, never forget what you accomplished. And Hashem will help us get through this coronavirus, and help us get through the whole year, help us get through this Bein Hazman, this summer break, and we'll come back and we'll learn. And we'll learn, we'll enter another year with a lot of success.